Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, February 11th, 2016 regular meeting of the Xenia City Council. We've been in session since 6 p.m. this evening for about a half hour on an executive session issue, labor negotiations, and then we just concluded an approximate 30-minute session on discussing our street program for the year 2016. And we're now ready to begin our regular session. We've come to order, and I would invite Mr. Siebert Gukian to provide an invocation, please, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Latterback. If you would rise with me as you're able for the invocation and pledge.
Thank you, Council, for continuing to support invocation before your meetings. It's very important that we address this to God. Is this on?
Yeah, you should be good.
It's on. Okay.
Made a book.
Okay, let us pray, please. Heavenly Father, everlasting God of Israel, we come to you tonight in the name of our risen Lord, Jesus Christ, and in the power of the Holy Spirit. We thank you for these capable and intelligent men and women on Xenia City Council. We ask that submission to your will take deep root within each one of them as city servants. Father, we seek your mind, your heart, your will for Xenia. Transform the thinking of each council member to always consider your way, just not their own. Saturate each person with your spiritual wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in all their decision-making. May they always seek righteousness, justice, and mercy in their conduct of all Xenia City business, and grant that they may be enabled by your powerful protection to lead our fabulous city government with honesty, integrity, and unselfishness. We humbly ask this all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Gukian, and thank you, Councilman Latterback. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Smith.
Here.
Councilman Wallace. Councilman Louderback.
Here.
Councilwoman Mays.
Here.
Councilwoman Mills.
Here.
Mayor Bayless.
Here.
President Engel.
Here. Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please, first for approval of minutes from our January 25th, 2016 special session, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Mays. Second, please.
Second.
Second by the mayor. Any discussion or question on this first set of minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Now a motion, please, for the January 28th, 2016 special and regular session.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Louderback. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mays. Discussion or question on this set of minutes, please.
Yes, Mr. President, if you will read the very first paragraph, I'm listed as being present, and then I'm listed as being absent. I was absent at that meeting. I didn't know if that should be corrected.
Thank you.
I'd like to be there and not be there, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Change noted. Any other discussion on question on the minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Abstain.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, please, a motion to approve the February 3rd, 2016 special session.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Mills. Second, please.
Second that.
Second by the Vice President. Discussion or question on these minutes, please. Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. At this time, we have an opportunity for audience comments. If anyone would care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please feel free to do so. Step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of Xenia City Council. My name is Thomas Scrivens. I reside at 725 Lexington Avenue here in the city. And I rise this evening to say that in my zeal to congratulate the newly elected members of council last time out, and I forgot to congratulate Councilman Kaup. And I told him I was going to attend this meeting and say publicly that I thank him for his service. To put 8 years in this august body takes a lot of tenacity. And although we may have disagreed on a lot of policy issues, we never were disagreeable. And I have to compliment him on his professionalism and his tenacity to serve. And he has a servant's heart, and I wanted everybody to know that. And after that, Mr. President, I yield back the balance of my time. Now, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please?
My name is Mark Jarvis. I live at 715 Mount Vernon Drive. We're 42 days into this new year, and already we are going to be talking about having 2 levies put on in November ballot, one for the police and fire and one for the schools. Well, I think those people work hard, and I have no problem as far as their service that they do, but I don't feel that it's right that we have to put this on the ballot. And when we had back last year, we talked about the city hall. I know it's old news that we're going to do it, but we should have went to vacant buildings in Xenia and put the city hall there instead of spending all this money. We don't even know how much money it's going to cost. The final costs haven't even been figured out yet, but we're going to ram this through this levy, and I don't think the city of Xenia taxpayers are going to go for it. I think they're going to reject it. I've talked to people in my neighborhood. They don't like it. They're tired of paying taxes. They paid them for years. They're up to their eyeballs in taxes. And I think that we're making a big mistake. Maybe we should look at other parts of the administrative people in the city of Xenia and see if we can cut some of those people instead of cutting our police and fire. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to come and address, please?
Thank you very much. John Kaup, 936 Sorville Way. I think I spent 8 years over there. 8 years prior to that, I spent over here at about every council meeting. So maybe I'll go back to being over here at every council meeting. So a couple things. Tonight, you're going to consider a extension on the Simon Kenton Bridges of Hope MOU once again. I believe this is about the third extension that's been given to the Bridges of Hope. I personally believe that if we want to give them that building, then let's just give it to them. That building cost us nothing, but the longer we continue to keep the upkeep on that building, the longer it's draining the taxpayers. 2 years ago, I deemed that building the money pit, and it continues to be the money pit. I mean, if you remember correctly, 1 month, it was either last winter or the winter before last, we had a $55,000 heat bill in 1 month for that building. No one knew how the heat got cranked up, but we had a $55,000 bill that we had to pay. So now we're going to give them another year. And I read the minutes from the special session, and they mentioned, some funding options, grant options, corporate sponsor options. Where have those been for the last year and a half? In a year and a half, that organization has generated $6,000. All the churches in the city of Xenia take in every single week more than $6,000 in their offerings each Sunday. So I question the validity of that project ever moving forward if all they can generate is $6,000 in a year and a half. But yet we're going to give them another year, and the taxpayers are going to eat the cost of that building, not only real cost, but cost in staff time. Staff goes over there and meets with people at that building. They go over and do minor maintenance in that building. I mean, that building is costing the city of Xenia a lot of money. So I would just put it out there to you. If they want the building, give it to them. If they don't want it, Let's ask some developers if they want that property. It cost us nothing. But we can give it away. I'm sure there's a developer out there that would take that building off our hands to where we don't have to demo that building. And then Bridges of Hope wants us to take that $300,000 that we would have used to demo the building and give it to a 501c3. We've never done that. That's unprecedented. And I would be thoroughly against and disappointed in council if they would ever agree to give $300,000 of the taxpayers' money away to a 501c3. We are running $1 million deficit. As Mr. Jarvis pointed out, now you're talking about tax levy. You're talking about police and fire levy. You're going to hold the taxpayers hostage to generate a tax levy. Otherwise, we're going to lay off 6 policemen and 6 firemen. I mean, we brought 6 policemen, 6 firemen back when we passed the income tax increase. Now we're going to lay 6 more off because we know we're going to tug on those heartstrings of the taxpayers over their safety. So I would challenge the 6 council members, because I know Councilman Lauterbach's against it, to find another avenue. Do not lay off 6 policemen and 6 firemen and threaten the taxpayers with their safety to pass a levy. This has been coming. It hasn't blindsided the city, but the only 2 councilmen that wanted to talk about it for 2 years were Councilman Lauterbach and I. Everybody said, oh, the numbers go rebound. The tax revenue will increase. Well, guess what? It hasn't. And we continue to get cuts from the state, cuts from the federal government, and now we have $1 million deficit. But yet we're going to spend $250,000 on a Kmart building. We're going to spend $300,000 to demo that building. We're sitting on the H&A property. We're potentially going to give Bridges of Hope $300,000, but yet we're running $1 million deficit. So I don't know where you're going to make the cuts, but I would honestly challenge you, find a different way, but don't hold us, the taxpayers, hostage over 6 policemen and 6 firemen. The police and fire don't deserve it, and the taxpayers don't deserve it. Thank you very much.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please? Seeing none, we will move to reports of committees. Councilwoman Mills, please. Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities.
Thank you. At our last BRACA meeting, we are starting to form our 2016 programming. We have 17 activities that we are very active in the city. These do not use any tax dollars. They are all funded by volunteers, and also they are funded by individuals who sponsor these activities. And so we are working at the Easter egg hunt, Arbor Day, First Fridays, Volunteer Day, 3 movies, 6 musics, 4th of July, and being part of that, the tree foliage photo contest, and hometown Christmas. And I'm sure there's some other things that I left out, but those are the things that I know for sure that we had started to talk about and come together with. We had an update with the basketball program that we sponsor. We had 4 boys teams. We have 5 girls teams. The numbers were down a little bit, and we hope to get those numbers back up. Part of it is getting the word out that these teams are sponsored. If you are able to attend practices and attend the games, then everyone is welcome. And if there is a financial burden, then that is covered because we find sponsors to help every child. So that is one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we got that out. And we also wanted to say thank you for the gym space from the Xenia Community School System. It worked out really well for the basketball program. Pretty much we have just been moving forward and just really going full-fledged with our programming for 2016.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Councilwoman Mills in bracket, please? Seeing none. Mayor, did you have something to add?
I do. I would like to make a motion. I don't think anyone made a motion to excuse Councilman Wallace this evening.
Yes, I think he has an anniversary this evening that he's celebrating.
50 years, I understand. Is that right?
50 years.
50 years. So I'd like to make that motion, please.
Thank you. Have a motion on the table to excuse Councilman Wallace. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mills. Discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Returning to our reports of committees, Councilwoman Mays, please. Traffic Commission.
Thank you. The February 1st meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items. I would like to point out that we have a vacancy on the Traffic Commission, and I have been in contact with somebody who has expressed some interest. So he is currently in contact with our city clerk, working to fill out the appropriate paperwork.
Very good. Thank you very much. Anything for Councilwoman Mays in traffic, please? Seeing none, Mayor Bayless, Board of Zoning Appeals, please.
Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on January 25th, 2016, and the minutes of the December 28th meeting were approved. There were 3 hearings. First was a conditional use request to allow the conversion of a vacant building into a residential single-family dwelling unit at 482 North Detroit Street. That was approved. The second was a conditional use request to allow the conversion of a building formerly used as a commercial office at 498 North Detroit Street into a dwelling unit to be used on a transient basis by families undergoing training with service dogs at 4 Paws, and that was approved. And then finally was a variance request to allow construction of an attached garage addition that did not meet the setback requirements at 115 Wilson Drive, and that was denied.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mayor Bayless and Board of Zoning Appeals, please? Seeing none, we're adding one item to it. Vice President Smith, Planning and Zoning, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Xenia Planning and Zoning met last Thursday, February 4th. 4 members of the commission were present. 3 items that evening. The first was the reappointment of the vice chair. That position is being held by Matt Bennett, who was reappointed for 1 year for that position. Second item was to vote to approve or approve with conditions a request for a replat involving the consolidation of 2 parcels and a relocation of lot lines in Progress Center Phase 3 subdivision. The proposed replat was actually an improvement which would allow an area for a storm water easement in that subdivision, and given those factors, it was staff's recommendation for the approval of the replat, and that was voted to be approved 4-0 by the commission. The last item on the agenda was a motion to appoint a representative for the City of Xenia Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council. City of Xenia has launched a property tax abatement program which will allow a financial incentive for new construction or renovations in certain areas in older established sections of the city. The CRA is actually part of the city's X-Plan goal to strengthen our core. The CRA program actually has a committee of 7 representatives which will meet at least on an annual basis. Xenia Planning and Zoning has 1 appointment for that position, and city staff recommended Planning and Zoning to appoint a member to the Housing Council of Sharice Shell, who is the Community Development Specialist for Greene County Department of Development, and that appointment was also voted on approval. And that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything for Vice President Smith and Planning and Zoning, please? Seeing none, we will move to items from City Council and Mayor. We have 2 items for consideration under that I have before me. The first is an emergency resolution calling for the reinstatement of local government funds from the state of Ohio and to consider legislation to fund local municipal courts. This, I believe, is in front of you for this evening's consideration. Mr. Law Director, should I read the resolution, or is it fine in the written record?
I think it's fine in the written record, but I would probably read it if I were you.
Thank you. I will do so. Resolution calling for the reinstatement of local government funds from the state of Ohio to local Ohio municipalities, and that the state of Ohio consider legislation to fund local municipal courts and declaring it to be an emergency. Whereas the budgets and services of local communities and public service organizations like the City of Xenia have relied strongly upon local government funds since its inception in 1934, and whereas over the last 2 years, the state of Ohio has cut the local government fund by 50%, which has resulted in a reduction in funding to the City of Xenia by approximately $500,000 per year, and whereas the state of Ohio has eliminated other sources of funding, including the estate tax, which has resulted in a reduction in funding to the City of Xenia by an average of $300,000 per year, and whereas the state of Ohio has also eliminated the personal property tax and subsequently eliminated the reimbursement to the City of Xenia for eliminating the personal property tax, which has resulted in a reduction in funding to the City of Xenia by approximately $200,000 per year, and whereas the state of Ohio has implemented House Bill 5 in an attempt to institute uniformity for municipal income tax, which will result in an increase in costs and a reduction in tax revenue for the City of Xenia, and will reduce funding by well over $100,000 and probably much more, and whereas with all the recent cuts made by the state of Ohio, the reduction in funding totaling $1.1 million to the City of Xenia has caused a continued shift of the tax burden to local communities like the City of Xenia, and whereas the reduction in funding totaling $1.1 million from the state of Ohio has impeded and will continue to impede the city's ability to provide core safety services, including police and fire services, and whereas after reducing this funding to municipalities, the state of Ohio has a reserve balance of over $2 billion, which is a record for the state of Ohio, and whereas after all the reductions in funding from the state of Ohio, the City of Xenia has had cash flow deficits the last 2 years, and future deficits are projected as a direct result of the loss of funding, and whereas the City of Xenia requests that the state of Ohio reinstate the local government fund to previous levels and make other adjustments to restore overall funding to previous levels, and whereas the City of Xenia requests that the state of Ohio consider legislation that addresses the funding of municipal courts, like the Xenia Municipal Court. These funding statutes have also contributed to cash flow deficits for the City of Xenia. Now, therefore, the City of Xenia hereby resolves, Section 1, the City Council of the City of Xenia urges the state of Ohio to reinstate local government funding to previous levels and make other adjustments to restore overall funding to previous levels. Section 2, the City Council of the City of Xenia urges the state of Ohio to consider legislation to address the funding for municipal courts. Section 3, the City Council of the City of Xenia strongly encourages other local Ohio municipalities to adopt similar resolutions. Section 4, the City Clerk is directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to state representatives. Section 5, this resolution shall be passed as an emergency to allow immediate submission of the resolution to local state representatives, since the City of Xenia must maintain a balanced budget, and it shall take effect and be in force from and after the earliest period allowed by law. I have that motion as an emergency. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Councilman Louderback. Discussion or question on this motion, please.
Whoever wrote this is well written. Thank you.
Other Councilwoman Mills.
Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to share that I'm pulling out of our special session minutes of January the 25th was that at the last mayors and managers, that it was shared that representatives from Riverside, Trotwood, along with Beaver Creek, because they just had a tax increase voted on last year, and they may break even. Bellbrook, Fairborn, it is not just Xenia. All of those at the mayor and managers had stated that they are having cash flow problems and are looking at deficits this year and upcoming years due to the fact that the state of Ohio has cut these fundings to all municipalities in the state of Ohio. It is not just a Xenia problem, but it is a problem for every municipality in the state. And I just wanted to make sure that we brought that up. And also when we talked about how the court is ran, that it is also not affecting just Xenia. The court is selected jurisdiction areas. Xenia was selected as the seat for court, the same as Fairborn. Again, that's not something that Xenia voted on. It was told to us that we would be in this position of having court here. So again, it is something that Xenia did not cause fault of in their own mishandling, but it was something that has happened through the state of Ohio and cutting of funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, please?
Yes, I attended our mayors and managers. We meet monthly, and the city manager and I attended that meeting last night. And of course, there's no meeting that you attend without this coming up. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Councilman Mills. It is a problem that is not unique to Xenia, but in all municipalities. And so it affects Xenia, but some places are even affected more so than we are. But it's a real critical issue and one that we can't take lightly, and I'm glad that we're stepping up to at least take a stand. Whether something's done or not, we at least have taken a stand. And I would ask the city manager to add to that if you so choose.
Yeah, I would just say that the Issues Committee of the Mayors and Managers has this as a prime issue on the radar. I'll be forwarding some information that the mayor and I received today from the chairman of the Issues Committee with Mayors and Managers, where they're reevaluating the functions and operations of the Ohio Municipal League, so that on issues like this, we're sure that organization is functioning in a way that they're advocating for our best interest to try to address these types of situations. So. It's not a local issue, it's not a regional, it's a statewide issue. And it will require resolution at some point, where many municipalities did have some type of reserve to lean on for a period of time. As I said recently to others, that will no longer be a problem very much longer. Those reserves are draining down, and so whether it's large cities or smaller communities such as ours, statewide issue that will have to be addressed at some point in the very near future.
Thank you.
Can I just say that I don't think council is saying that the court is necessarily being run and not being run properly, or that Judge Murray is doing anything incorrect.
No.
It's the funding mechanism and the formula that's used, prescribed by the state on how that court has to be funded, not necessarily how this court is being run. I don't think court. I just want to clear that. I don't think that's council's intention.
And I was preparing to tag that exact item. Thank you, Mr. Law Director. It would be fair to say for our residents taking this in as a bottom line up front, the statute requires that the municipality that hosts that court shoulder the burden for it, such that our burden becomes not just the city of Xenia's burden, but a number of other areas around us, essentially to the east. We have been designated to bear that burden, and it is a large burden. Other questions, please? Discussion.
And I think that you will see an increase in the number of levies that are going up, will be on the ballot in other areas. I mean, this has nothing to do with our fiscal management, but just what the state has done with funds that we would normally have.
And I would also like to add that all cities must balance their budget. There is no running in the red. They have to be balanced every year, whereas the state and federal, they can have deficits. The cities and municipalities cannot.
Thank you. I think it's been fair to say, and been said in any number of forums here, as well as others, this action by the state is nothing more than a shifting of taxing responsibility. If a city or municipality intends to maintain its current level of services from what it had been maintaining prior to the shift in funding. If there are no other discussions on this point, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. The second item I have in front of me is actually from, or actually for Councilman Wallace, who is not with us this evening for a very joyous event. It is the appointment to the Economic Development Advisory Board. And the background reads, there's been a vacancy on the Economic Development Advisory Board since February 2015, when Blair Davis submitted her resignation due to moving outside the city limits. The city clerk had advertised the vacancy on the city's government channel, website, and other social media outlets. In September 2015, Teresa Felder submitted a letter of interest, and her background check was satisfactorily completed in October of 2015. Unfortunately, a recommendation for appointment was never presented to City Council. When City Council lay board appointments were made on January 28, 2016, Councilman Wallace was assigned as the chair of the EDAB for 2016. Since that time, Councilman Wallace has spoken with Ms. Felder, and she is still interested in the appointment and wishes to serve the city in this capacity. Councilman Wallace is not in attendance this evening. However, the EDAB board will be meeting in February, and he respectfully recommends that the council take action to appoint her to fill a vacancy with a term expiration date of April 25th, 2017. So I would move for Councilman Wallace to appoint Ms. Teresa Felder to the Economic Development Advisory Board to fill the vacancy as described through the term's expiration date of April 25th, 2017. Excuse me. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by the mayor. Discussion or question on this motion, please. Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Is there anything else from my colleagues for items from City Council and Mayor this evening, please? Seeing none, we'll move to reports of city offices. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, just one scheduled item this evening, which is a follow-up to instructions that Council gave staff regarding updating a memorandum of understanding with Bridges of Hope for the use of the former Simon Kenton facility. Staff has worked with the new Executive Director of Bridges of Hope to develop the documents provided for Council's consideration this evening. Staff has tried to incorporate the feedback given to us by Council in the work session from a couple of weeks ago into an MOU that establishes benchmarks with fundraising deliverables for the organization in order for any extension of the MOU for use of the facility to be considered moving into the next year. Bridges of Hope is aware that any extensions on the MOU would be contingent on progress the group can make to raise funds for operating expenses as well as the eventual rehabilitation of the facility. Bridges of Hope is also aware that Council would reserve the right to terminate the MOU if a reuse opportunity for the facility site were to come about as a result of the Xenia Community Schools facility planning or other significant opportunities. The MOU is presented for Council's consideration this evening. I also want to add, for the sake of transparency, just this week, Mr. Berger and I have met with an organization that has again expressed potential interest in the Simon Kenton facility. It's an organization that previously expressed an interest, and they have reached out to us again. And as a matter of fact, just today, I got a call from an individual who I don't have much detail on, but expressed some interest in the site and requested an opportunity to tour the facility, which we will, of course, accommodate pending some additional information on what their interest is. So there has been some additional interest in the site. I thought for the interest of transparency, I should make Council aware of that this evening.
Thank you very much. There are two motions requested for this particular item. Motion one is to extend the moratorium on the demolition of the Simon Kenton facility to December 31st, 2016, retroactive to January 12th, 2016. May I have a motion for this, please?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
Second.
Second by the Mayor. Discussion or question on this first motion, please. Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And now a second motion, please, to extend the current memorandum of understanding with Bridges of Hope for the temporary use of the Simon Kenton facility to December 31st, 2016, retroactive to January 12th, 2016. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Mills. Second, please.
I'll second.
Second by the Vice President. Discussion or question on our second motion, please. Councilman.
I'm going to be voting no again. for several reasons. Let me talk about three reasons. Number one, as you all know by now, the city of Xenia is in a fiscal crisis. We cannot afford to give money to Bridges of Hope, in my opinion. As Councilman Kaup said earlier, they haven't shown good faith. They've only raised $6,000 to date. And it's going to be between $1.5 million and $2 million project. We just can't afford it, number one, and that's my main reason. Number two, I went on the website of Xenia Area Association of Churches. When they first came to us, I thought there was a need. After looking at this is a 17-page document, 17 pages of resources in Greene County in Xenia, since we're the county seat, most of them being Xenia. And I'm just going to briefly read some of these. Food pantries, housing goals, recovery from addictions, clothing, laundry, personal items, transportation, Christian counseling, family life, grief support, disability resources, recreation ministries and activities, Christian school and child care. And under general information, there's 5 pages of this, and I'm not going to read all of them. All people in need of assistance should contact the following 2 places first before they act, because they act as clearinghouses for all other community agencies in Greene County. They can assist your needs and direct you to the appropriate services for which you qualify. Number 1 is the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. Number 2, and for full disclosure, I'm a board member, Community Action Partnership. We have Miami Valley Women's Center. We have Greene County Combined Health Center. We have Living Well Clinic. We have Social Security Administration. We have TCN Behavioral. I mean, it just goes on. We have Family Solution Center. We have Veteran Services. It just goes on and on and on of all the resources available to our citizens. When they first came to us, I thought, well, this is, the principle of it sounds pretty good. But after I got to looking into it, we'd be setting a dangerous precedent to give money to a 501c3, especially a faith-based organization, because if we do this and set a precedent, all the other 501c3s are going to be knocking on our door. And they're going to say, what about me? So, 2 of the reasons. The third reason, to be quite honest with you, I don't know about this other organization you're talking about looking at the site. Xenia Schools, we had a meeting with Tuesday, and they want to build a new high school and middle school. They were looking at 4 locations. 1 of them's in Xenia, 3 of them's in the township. If they go to the township, it's going to be devastating to our tax base. I asked Mark how much. We don't know yet. Devastating to our tax base. So Simon Kenton is one of the sites they're looking at. It would have to be a combination of Mallow Orchard and Xenia Nazarene. But that's the third reason. But the main reason is, it was in today's paper, we're talking about laying off 6 police. It's no secret. It shouldn't be a secret. We're talking about laying off 6 police and 6 firemen, but yet we're giving money. We want to give however money, they change their dollar amount from day to day. I don't know, $150,000 to $300,000. They want us to give them $150,000 to $300,000. We spent $550,000 for the purchase of Kmart and the demolition of Kmart. That is close to our deficit right there. So nothing against Bridges of Hope, and I got a couple phone calls from couple of Christian groups saying, well, why are you against Bridges of Hope? And I'm used to the negativity when somebody takes a stand against something, but nothing against Bridges of Hope. But ladies and gentlemen, we just cannot afford it. And again, we'd be setting a dangerous precedent to fund a 501c3. Thank you.
Other comments, Councilwoman?
Thank you. I want to make sure I understand as I read through this that we have different phases that they have to meet criteria of. So from February to June, Bridges of Hope has to raise $50,000, and then there's other different criteria that they have to meet. If they do not raise that criteria, we can end the MOU?
That is correct. There are several plateaus that have to be met. So the first one, the next jumping off point, if you will be in June of this year, at which time they will have to be able to demonstrate that they have raised $50,000 toward operating expenses.
Okay.
So council will be presented, another opportunity at that point to further extend the MOU for the remainder of the year, during which time they would have that second phase to raise an additional $100,000, again, toward covering operating expenses. The third phase, if council then approved an extension moving beyond 2016, they would then be responsible for lining up the lion's share of the proceeds that would go toward rehabilitation of the facility.
Okay. And with facts that Councilman Latterback shared, then I too have concerns, but you've answered these concerns with the phases, because I don't want to be tied up, and if Bridges of Hope is not able to raise the money that they intend to raise, then I want to make sure that we have the capability of being able to step out of the MOU, that it is not tied, signed, sealed, and delivered for the full year or then some. Secondly, a part of the city giving money, I remember that they requested that the city, could offer possibly the money that would take to tear down the building. But that is not money that is in our budget, so it would not be happening this year whatsoever. And also, it is money that the city has not promised or even entertained as an idea. It was Bridges of Hope's hope that we would follow through, but it was not anything that the city has ever talked about, planned on doing, or even in the budget.
And I think we should draw a careful distinction here so that our audience understands and the council is aware. We're talking about, when we look at the utilization of city resources, to Councilwoman Mills' point, the funds that they suggested might be contributed to their construction rehabilitation project would be general capital dollars that are currently not in our budget. However, during this period, while the building is in sort of this state of limbo, there are some carrying costs that the city is covering. Now, those costs are minimized this year because, again, we've shut the heat down since there's no use in the building right now. We've winterized the facility. Now, so where in the past we've seen some large, utility costs, they should be much less this year. But there is a cost to maintaining that building as part of the city's asset collection. So there are some operational expenses that go into carrying the building, but the dollars that you were referencing, Councilwoman Mills, are capital dollars that are currently not programmed to be spent.
And I'll go on record that I would not be in favor of giving that money, not because I don't want to see Bridges of Hope succeed. It's just we don't have it. It's not in our budget. It is not ours to give. And also, I also want to make note that even if that building sat empty, we would still have a responsibility to make sure that it was taken care of as limited as possible, which we are doing right now for Bridges of Hope. So with those two things being clear, I will be voting yes on this.
Question. I think our law director wanted to put in a point of order, please.
If we're going to have the right, reserve the right to terminate this agreement, if they don't meet any section or phase, then we need to alter the termination paragraph slightly. I would recommend 2 changes to that paragraph, and I will say that I've already reviewed this, and I approved it. But if that's the intention, is to be able to terminate it if they don't meet any of those phases. I would have it read as follows: if at any time Bridges of Hope fails to complete any of the phases in the attached, in attachment 1, and then if on or before December 31st, 2016, the Xenia City Council has entered into a formalized memorandum of understanding with the Xenia Board of Education, or if the Xenia City Council has entered into any option to purchase said property, the City of Xenia shall notify Bridges of Hope in writing 60 days in advance of intention to terminate and or not further extend this MOU. That does two things. That gives the city the ability to terminate this agreement if they don't complete one of the phases. It also gives us the right to terminate this agreement if anybody else other than the schools that come forward and said we want to purchase the property. Not a memorandum of understanding with anybody else, but an actual written purchase agreement. That way we don't have to turn somebody away.
That was my question. That was going to be my question to you. What happens if an offer comes? And so that will cover it.
That would cover it.
I would like to make a motion to change the termination policy and add what the law director has formally stated.
Thank you. Have a motion on the floor to make the recommended change as documented by the recorder into the termination clause. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mays. Discussion or question on this motion?
Mr. President, I would just add that I think it's highly advisable that council, if you're interested in maintaining the relationship with Bridges of Hope, the council have at its discretion the ability, if another opportunity should arise, to be able to act on it, given that it's a good opportunity that council deems valuable to the community. But I think having that flexibility is very, very important.
Thank you. Other discussion or question, please? Okay, I'll ask for a roll call vote then on only the change to the termination policy.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
No.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you. Back to discussion on the agreement as it now stands amended. Any other comments or questions, please? Councilman.
Attachment 1, page 2. Can somebody explain the matching grant funds? If the City of Xenia Council approves matching grant funds, Bridges of Hope suggests the following amount at the end of Phase 3. By December 31st, 2017, $150,000.
That doesn't bind us in any way, shape, or form.
But they're asking for that.
They're suggesting it, but council would have to approve that separately.
They are asking for it.
It would appear that, yes. I will say also.
I wanted for the record. I wanted for the record to. It's went from 300,000 to 150, and now I don't know how much money they want, but they want X amount of dollars from a government entity to a faith-based 501c3, and I just want that to be on the record.
I guess just for clarification purposes, attachment 1 is their proposal to us. It's not anything that we drafted. It's not anything that we necessarily have agreed to. That's their proposal.
I understand, but just for the record, I wanted that cleared up.
So for further clarification, and this was going to be my commentary, as I have read what is our proposal that we are currently under discussion, which does not include attachment 1, and just so the citizens are aware, we are only committing to fund the, as the city manager has described, carrying charges, which we are legally, and I would argue morally, bound to do while this facility is under our ownership. And we have taken as many steps as possible at this point in time to minimize the use of electric and other resources in that facility to minimize the city's impact to its budget this year. And I think in our summation, it was very clear in, beg pardon for just a moment, in paragraph 2 under the summary, it says, that said, while the city will still be obligated to perform routine building and property maintenance duties, what we were just describing, it is not, underscore, obligated to expend funds for capital improvements, or any other improvements for that matter, and there is no motion or movement by the board, or excuse me, by the council at this time to do so. All true.
All true.
Any other discussion or question on the motion?
One last thing. I would like you to ask the Bridges of Hope what date they filed an IRS 1023 form and what date they filed their determination letter with the IRS. If I could get those dates, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Vice President.
What's the purpose of having to retroactively date this back to January and not moving forward from like this point now?
We've been operating without an agreement. That way we're just covered and they're covered.
Okay. But so if something transpires based on conversations, phone calls Brent has gotten on this property, we're still okay.
Yeah, this agreement that you passed tonight would cover back to the expiration of the other agreement, and this is the entire agreement reduced to writing. So.
Okay.
Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
No.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bailiff.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. City Manager?
Just a couple of updates. Winter weather, Old Man Winter did decide to show up this year. We're experiencing probably our, to this point, largest snow event currently. And there's another winter weather event that is perhaps on the horizon for Sunday into Monday. We will, of course, treat that as effectively as we can with the resources we have available to us. I want to remind the public that whenever possible on streets where cars are parked that can be parked in driveways, we strongly encourage people to do so. It takes a lot more time and there's a lot more risk for our crews using large-scale city equipment to try to navigate through the gauntlet of cars on residential streets. So we can improve the quality of the service. It's actually cheaper because it takes a lot less time. They can maintain a consistent speed, and you won't get your car completely blocked in on the street. So we encourage folks to try to park in the driveways. We have had a pretty light winter to this point, so we've already been in the neighborhoods trying to clear residential streets in the flats. So again, we're looking at an event on Sunday or Monday, and we'll try to address that, but we ask for the public's help. I want to let council know there is a work session with the Beaver Creek City Council next week regarding the US 35 project. I plan to attend. The state of Ohio has essentially indicated that they will likely not be putting forward any funding for the main proposal that was submitted initially. I've seen the concept that they are proposing instead. I think it's a little crazy myself, but again, I'll represent the city at that meeting and provide some information back to council once there appears to be some direction on that. And then just finally, I do plan to attend the Ohio City and County Managers Association later this month. If any of you are interested in what that is, I can provide the agenda for that event, but it's a two-day event in Columbus. But I noticed specifically tonight because there is a large portion that we'll be talking about funding issues, a lot of the issues with regard to changes in legislation at the state level. So that's a specific topic that we'll be discussing among city managers from across the state here at the end of this month. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Anything for our city manager, Councilman?
I just want to piggyback. I'm a member of MVRPC, and I've supported the project all along. It's come down to politics, silly politics, and people are backing down from 3 or 4 car dealers on Route 35. They've upset the whole apple cart for the safety of our citizens. And you know who they are. They're on Route 35, and it's just appalling to me how people, ODOT, MVRPC, back down from big money people. And also, there was a citizen that called me and said, you said in a meeting, they said, I was in the meeting, that you said side streets will not be plowed unless there's 3 inches or more.
Our policy for many years, pretty consistent with most communities around, in an event, we won't go to the residential streets till we have 3 inches. Now that can vary broadly depending on conditions. Mm-hmm. And obviously if you get a 2-inch snow and then a day later you get another 2-inch snow, those are two 2-inch events. Well, we're still going to get to those side streets. The key is that, you know, we will always concentrate on major thoroughfares and large feeder streets first. We will get to the neighborhood level, the plats, when we have availability. And if we have a less than 3 inches of snow, we don't guarantee exactly when we're going to get out to the neighborhood streets. We'll always try to address it as much as we can. In a year like this year, where we've had a lot less cost, we'll be a little bit more liberal with that. But some years, like 2 years ago, if you recall, we were pretty stringent on that policy. That's pretty consistent. Now the city of Dayton is 4 inches. They won't come out unless it's a 4-inch snow. But.
Okay. One last thing. You know, a while back we had electric aggregation on the ballot, and I made mention when we passed that. What about natural gas? Is that a possibility for the citizens of Xenia to have a natural gas aggregation put on the ballot?
Actually, it was put on the ballot a number of years ago, was approved by the voters. It is an option that if the city council would so direct staff that we could begin to evaluate and pursue.
I guess I didn't realize that. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't the council pursue that?
Council would just need to give us the direction to look at it. I think initially when it was brought up, there was some concern. We wanted to get our feet wet, so to speak, with the electric aggregation and kind of evaluate that process. At the time, too, we were advised that the market wasn't the best for natural gas. It was more competitive for electric. I don't know that we've really taken a litmus test on that recently to know whether or not there would be a benefit to our population by pursuing it. But we could start to put some feelers out there with consultants that we have and kind of take the temperature to see if maybe it would make sense and provide some recommendations back to council on whether or not to move forward.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else for the city manager, please? Thank you.
Not really to the city manager, but piggyback on Councilman Louderback's statement. I don't know about anyone else, but I don't know anybody that on a whim decides to go buy a car. Hey, I just drove by a car lot and I'm going to stop and get a car today. I really think that I'm very disappointed also. And I'm disappointed in the prospects of that, you know, people just don't have the capabilities of buying vehicles like that. I mean, you go out, you do your research anymore. You know, Google is a wonderful tool to find the best prices. I mean, people go out of state to get the best prices for a vehicle nowadays. So I really have disappointment in the dealerships stating that they would lose business, because I just don't think that is a true factor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the city manager, please? Seeing none, Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item this evening, scheduled bills in the amount of $330,196.47.
A motion, please, to pay our bills this evening.
So moved.
Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Louderback, seconded by the mayor. Any discussion on the bills or any portion thereof, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bayless.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Anything for our finance director, please? Seeing none, Mr. Law Director.
Nothing this evening.
Anything for our law director this evening, please? Seeing none, any updates to our summary of action items, Mr. City Manager?
I have nothing.
Anything from my colleagues for the summary of action items? Reading of communications and discussion. Councilwoman Mills.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the road crews for the wonderful work that they've done thus far this season and for the upcoming snow events. And it's not just snow, ice, rain, everything. You know, I always feel bad when the water main breaks and somebody is in that hole in 4 foot of freezing cold water fixing it. So I just want to say thank you. And the other thing is, I just wanted to share that this year I work at the high school and we had Spirit Week this week, and tomorrow is Extreme Blue and White. So I'm very anxious to see how the students will be dressing up there in their extreme blue and white, but it's been a very great week. And I always try to be upbeat with what a great community we have. And seeing 5 days straight, or 4 days of the students being so involved in having so much spirit, that if each of us just had a little bit more spirit towards our community, what a great change and a difference we would have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Mays.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also, in reference to the snow removal, received a call from a resident just thanking the city for their good work and was very pleased at how they got to their road in a very timely manner. I also want to point out that the community Easter egg hunt is right around the corner, and the plans for that are well underway. It is on March 26th. It's the day before Easter, and I am in communication with several businesses and just want to put out there that we are accepting basket donations. We do a giveaway. We try to have at least about 30 baskets to give away to kids that come. So if you are interested in donating an Easter basket, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Latterback.
Thank you. I have nothing this evening.
Mayor.
Thank you. Just a couple things to note. First, I did attend the College of Business Accreditation Recognition at Central State University, and that is a very, very big honor, so congratulations to them, and it was very well attended, and they had a reception. And then the second thing was I issued a proclamation to St. Bridget's School proclaiming that the week of January 31st through February 6th as Catholic Schools Week.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like to thank everyone in the audience for being here tonight. Also, those of you that are watching, thank you for your time and interest. If you can just do one thing to improve the quality of life, try and do it. Maybe spend more time with your children. Maybe read a book, volunteer, donate a basket. Something simple like that. And then, and the time of weather that we have right now, it's important to check on your neighbors, the elderly. It is really slippery. The ice freezing, thawing. It's very slippery. So, just do what you can to help each other. And thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a number of items this evening. I'd like to congratulate XACT on their conclusion of run of Bull in the China Shop. That was a great play. Very, very humorous. My wife and I came back from that this past Friday night and remarked that that was one of the best comedies we had seen at XACT in some time, so kudos to them. As a follow-on to that, not sitting on their laurels, they are now cast Murder by Death, which should be another great event coming up in the next couple of months. I had mentioned at the last council meeting that the Xenia high school players will also be putting on a musical, The Little Mermaid, this year, later in March. We'll have more information about that as we go along. So there's plenty of arts and entertainment to be had in Xenia. Very, very easily accessible, very low cost. I would like to point out that upcoming on March the 2nd, so we'll have one more council meeting before then to talk a bit more about it, but it is March 2nd is the Read Across America program. It's very near and dear to my heart. My wife is a librarian in the city schools, and there is not a singular skill that is more important, I would argue, and every librarian would argue, for a child to take away from their elementary and middle school days than an effective skill of reading and developing a love of reading. As we all know, our society is all about communication these days. And the key to that is being able to read and consume material and to enjoy doing it, not that it's a chore. I know Cox Elementary will be doing something special that day for Read Across America. I've heard from a number of council members that they will participate in that. My thanks to you, and my wife's thanks, and Cox's thanks. But please, in this month coming up in March, please consider that as talked about spending more time with your children, as the Vice President did. Take time and read with them. It will be something that you'll value for a long time and your children will benefit significantly from. Past that, my significant congratulations to Councilman Wallace and his wife. I believe today is, in fact, their anniversary. 50 years together, a golden anniversary. So my congratulations and best wishes to them, as I'm sure is from the entire council. That's quite a milestone and quite a demonstration of their commitment to one another and an example to the community. And then finally, talking about, as our city manager did, the upcoming snow event. I had been watching and have been following that very closely. There's a Facebook group, the Ohio Valley Weather Forecasting something or other, I don't know the exact name, The individual appears to be quite good. He's been calling for this snow event since before Christmas. And it would appear he may be right, as the latest predictions are somewhere between the 4, 5, 6 to 8 inches of snow on or about the Sunday to Monday timeframe. So please be careful. We will, at that kind of snow rate, undoubtedly be out there plowing, but do all you can to take care and not be a casualty of the snow, either minor or major. And with that, unless someone else has something to add, I would seek a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Mills. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman
Happy
Mays.
President's Day.
Roll call.
Vice President Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mays.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mills.
Aye.
Mayor Bailiff.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.